Madam Chair, I think Robin has been successful in recording the meeting as well as getting us on YouTube Live.
Very good. Okay, well, good evening, everyone. And it's always good to see everyone's smiling faces here. We're missing a few people tonight. I know that Jim had said that he would not be with us tonight, but I don't know about Chris and Debbie, but we'll go on. Maybe they'll join in later. Robin, may we have roll call?
Yes, ma'am. All right, Member Hensick.
Present.
Acting Chair Stevens.
Present.
Secretary Scott.
Present.
Member Hammond. Member Roughton.
Present.
Member Bockert. Well, I see you.
Helen, you're muted.
Member Rubis. Alternate Adams. Alternate Quarternick. Commission Liaison Royals.
Here.
Council Member Liaison Nian.
Here.
And Council Member Liaison Jaxie.
Here.
All right, we have quorum.
Very good. It's always great to have a quorum. Thanks so much. It's, as I said, it's great to gather together, even though we're not in person. It's just great to see everyone's face. And with the weather out there tonight, I'm glad we're not there in person. It's kind of nice to stay inside.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any opening comments?
Well, just Robin and I appreciate your attendance as much as Madam Chair.
Well, yes, it's always great to have you all. So the approval of minutes comes up next. We have two sets of minutes to approve tonight. So we will start with the August 26th minutes. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll move to approve them.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Any additions or corrections to this set of minutes? Well, hearing none, we will vote. And you please raise your hand or wave so that we know who's voting. All those in favor of approving this set of minutes, wave your hand or raise it up or something so we can see everyone. Okay.
Me too.
And no one, is anyone opposed? Okay, so the minutes of the August 26th meeting, gosh, that sounds like a long time ago, are approved as distributed. Moving on to the September 2nd minutes, I'm open for a motion.
So move.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Dan. Is there any discussion with additions or corrections to this set of minutes? Okay. All those in favor of approval, raise your hand, wave, or do something. Okay, anyone opposed? Okay, great. This set of minutes is also approved. So we can move on. Is there anyone waiting for public comment tonight?
Yes, ma'am. We have at least one speaker, and I'm going to promote him to panelist
Okay.
now. And if you give a second. And then we do have another person in attendance, Councilmember Clark. So I'll wait to see if she'd like to speak. Mr. Irvine, if you'd like to unmute, I'm going to send you. There you go.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Should I speak or wait?
Mr. Irvine, if you would, this is the time, public participation. So please feel free to proceed. Thank you.
I won't take up much of your time this evening. Forgive me for this. I'm 72 years old and I never played a video game, so this is even more challenging. But the reason for my participation this evening is to request that for your next scheduled meeting, that Lauren Strutman and I be allowed to make a presentation regarding some concerns about the historic area of Orville. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So, Ms. Stevens, I was referred by Robin Keefe today that you would be the person to contact, and there was no direct way for me to contact you, so I am now officially contacting you. And I'm sorry you can't see me, but I can see you, and you're looking very, very comfortable there in front of the Glencoe marker. But and by the way, our marker for Orville is very nice too. We just had it installed. But I won't take up more of your time this evening. I'd rather be able to make a formal presentation at your next meeting. Can you put me on the agenda?
Yes, we can.
All right. And Joe, thank you for getting me connected. And
My pleasure, sir.
all right. So I will exit and leave you to your business. And thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Madam Chair, again, we have Ms. Clark, Ward 1 representative. If she'd like to speak at this time, if she'd use the raise hand feature or put something in chat, I'll be glad to promote her.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I
It's
think
not,
we're
huh?
ready to go.
Okay. Well, new business is next on our agenda, and we have 3 items ready for action. Number 1, the certified local government annual reporting. I know there was a lot to that, and Robin, you've probably been working really hard on getting everything filled in. Can you enlighten us on this?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Madam Chair. So as most of you may be aware, since 2001, the City of Wildwood has been a certified local government through the state of Missouri, as authorized through the National Historic Preservation Act. Our role as a certified local government is to enact a historic preservation ordinance, to have a commission of historic preservation members, to conduct an ongoing survey and inventory of historic properties every year, to do public outreach and education, and otherwise conduct any responsibilities delegated to us by the state. One such requirement of being a certified local government is that we do have to submit an annual report every year. And I've been communicating with you via email to that effect. This year is a little different from past years in that they have provided a new form for the annual report. So if I do reach out to you in the next coming weeks and ask you some strange questions that you don't normally get at this time of year, it's because we do have a new format and they may be asking us to present information just a little differently. I want to thank everyone who has sent me information in the form of those resume forms that are also new as of this year. And also updated bios and also any annual trainings you've taken this year. I appreciate that information very much, and it will help me do this report. Now, this report is due at the end of November 30th. So if you have not given me your updated resume information, please do so. Probably in the next week would be preferable. And once I have a draft of the report, I will go ahead and distribute that for your review via email. We will not have an opportunity to officially vote on it, but I will get that out to your review before we submit it to our state representative.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah.
I know it's very important to get everything filled in properly, so we'll do all we can to help you when you have your questions.
I appreciate that.
So, Madam Chair, if I may,
Yes.
just to emphasize what Ms. Keefe said, given the timeframes associated with the report and its filing with the State Historic Preservation Office, we won't have another meeting prior to then. But we are going to get you the draft. So if you do have comments, we'll put in the email with the draft, a timeline for sending the comments. And so we'd like you to adhere to that as best as possible. And then we'll incorporate your comments and have a final draft at the next meeting so you can kind of see how we did. Thank you.
Very good. And it'll be very interesting to read. In the past, we've received copies of the bios on everyone. Will that be done for us again?
That would be part of the report that we're going to present. at the
Okay, okay. So then, anything else on that topic? Okay, number 2 is the here we go. The training opportunities, and my goodness, there's certainly a lot of them. So I know I have registered for one next Tuesday. It's not out of the big opportunities, but next Tuesday there's a Zoom meeting on historic preservation, and I'm signed up for it. Have any other people signed up for any of the training sessions?
Yes, if I may,
Yes.
I'll just review a little bit about what's coming up. So another requirement of being a certified local government is that all regular historic preservation members, and really all of our members are highly encouraged, are required to take one training at least per year as part of our certified local government requirements. So we do have some training opportunities coming up. And I'm going to share my screen here so I can share that with you. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So as Ms. Stevens was just mentioning, we do have one Missouri State Historic Preservation Office training still coming up next week on November 2nd. That's on Tuesday. And at that training session, we've got 2 interesting topics, including approaches to infill design in historic districts and cemetery preservation. I've attended the past 2 trainings that have already passed, and they were highly informative. So if you are interested in attending this session, I definitely encourage it. I think it's been very beneficial to me. The other training opportunity we have is actually a unique opportunity to attend the national conference for the National Trust for Historic Preservation. Typically, these conferences would be in person, and we would need to fly all of you out there, and it would be a big to-do to accomplish. And it's not always, due to schedules and that sort of thing, it's not always very convenient for everyone. Well, because of what's been going on in terms of the pandemic, we have a unique opportunity to attend all these sessions virtually. And so we've got 32 highly interesting sessions. I've been perusing some of the topics. It looks like we're connecting historic preservation to racial equity, to climate change. We're talking about some of the basics like historic tax credits and historic building restoration, and a lot of topics around public participation and diversity. So it looks like we have some very interesting sessions here. The other thing to note is that if you are a member, if you're an architect or a planner and you're required to have continuing education credit, these sessions do offer that as well. But really just any one of these sessions out of the whole 32 for the next week would fulfill your requirement, our CLG requirement for the year. So we just like to encourage you, and I'm going to stop sharing for a minute so I can give you a plea. If you have any time at all next week, we have the ability to send all of us to this conference pretty easily through an organizational membership. And we can knock that requirement off for the whole commission if you could just find one training that looks highly interesting to you over the next week. So can I get a sense of your interest in attending the conference?
I would like to do that one next Tuesday also. How do I do that?
So included in your packet and on the online agenda is something that should say registration. And in that CLG forum registration, there's links to register for that session, and then you'll get an email and invited in.
Okay, so, and then they'll give me the link to do it. Okay.
That's right. And I can follow up with you if you have any trouble.
I've got another question. I was looking at the CEU chart, and there's some very interesting ones on there, but I can't see when they don't have dates or anything on them. How do I tie those into an actual program?
So I'm not sure I quite understand your question. Are
There's
you,
a link in there that links you to the and it is continuing education credits, and it gives the number. It gives you a whole list of 2 pages of different programs of different classes.
what I would,
How do I sign up for one of those and find out when they are?
what I'd suggest, Mr. Scott, is we get together sometime tomorrow, perhaps, because the conference is next week,
Yes,
and we can walk through it and figure that out.
these would be next week.
Yes, this would be next week, which is why I tried to send out information as early as possible.
Yes, because there's things that aren't mentioned in that other flyer that are in this group here that I'd be interested in taking, Plus they give you credit, continuing education credits, which I'm sure Kurt would be interested in too.
Always interested.
Especially if they're
So that was our thought as well. This is a great opportunity to get those credits and also take care of that CLG requirement. So are there any other interested parties in the room for this conference next week?
Elizabeth?
Robin, the one you mentioned about November 2nd, if I wrote my notes down correctly, on cemetery preservation, was that by the state?
That is by the state.
Okay,
So
I'm
it's-
interested in that one, but indeed, I do not know how to sign up for that. Previously, you and I had a conversation about the 3 that I took when Miss Arnett was here, and I may be able to locate a second copy of that information. I haven't had a chance to do that as yet. How do I sign up for that one, for the state?
It's in there.
So, yes, so it should be in the agenda under this item. There should be a link that
Okay.
says CLG forum registration.
Okay,
And then it'll have the 3 registration links, and you're talking about the last one on the page because we're at the third session.
okay. You mean where the blue is, where I click on it
Yes,
and get that information? Okay. And I can attempt to sign up for that one. And I believe, is that on November 2nd? Did I hear you say?
that's
On
on November
Tuesday.
2nd. And if you have any trouble, you're more than welcome to contact me before then and we'll walk it through together.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other comments on these?
I'm interested in the partnerships in restoring historic sacred places. And that is at 3:15, I believe, on November 1st. I can do everything it's all included in my packet, correct?
That's right. Anything that's available in that conference is available to you. You could attend all 32 sessions if you wanted under this one
No,
registration.
thank you.
But just so
Cake
you
and
know,
drink.
just so you know, we have not registered for it yet. We wanted to assess your interest before we proceeded. So we
Okay.
will do that tomorrow, and I will send out any information I might receive through that process.
and I will proceed and register.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Robin, in that agenda, when I click on the one that says advocacy with Congress or for Congress, something like that, it doesn't show additional information. Is there a place that I can go to get additional information?
Yes, I sent out an email, I believe it was last Friday, and it had a
Okay.
link. And that link will take you to the conference page, and that's where I would recommend. Sorry, there's some background noise, but that's where I would recommend going for all the conference information.
Sorry, there's a lot going on at my house. I will, if we do register as a group for it, I will absolutely plan on attending that session on Tuesday. If we do not do the group registration, I will probably attend the cemetery one with the other group on Tuesday.
Excellent.
So Madam Chair, just
Yes.
if you do have a problem, Ms. Keefe's been kind enough to assure you that if you call her, we'll do our best to help, or she will, not me. And like I say, we'll register for the purposes of the organization so we can have them up to 10 individuals. And Ms. Keefe will let you know when our registration is finalized. That way you can then go online and pick the different seminars, classes, or workshops.
Okay, I think everyone has Robin's phone number, and I'm sure I'll be calling her.
I feel like I should be holding up a sign.
458-0440.
Thank you. Extension 118.
Okay, are we ready to move on to number 3, the development of the primer on property maintenance codes? Joe, you were going to address that for us?
Yes, Madam Chair, and thank you. Madam Chair and members of the commission, there wasn't a written memorandum or report on this particular item, but I did want to take the opportunity tonight to just kind of update you on what I would consider a parallel course that is underway with our city council. Ms. Nyan and Mr. Jackson may be able to comment on this, but recently we became aware that building code interpretations that are being made by St. Louis County may have a detrimental or at least a impact on the city of Wildwood. The city council chose to kind of proceed forward and get a better understanding of the building code and the different codes that are applied in Wildwood through our contractual partner, St. Louis County Department of Public Works. So as part of that, I think this is an opportune time to kind of maybe work in our property maintenance code and how it impacts historic structures and buildings in the city of Wildwood. So that particular item on our agenda has been kind of on not ready for action for a bit, but I think we're getting close to kind of bringing it back forward. We hope to have something to city council right after the first of the year. And so with that, hopefully we'll follow very shortly with the information you all have been seeking. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the update. So that's, I believe, all of the new business. So we'll move on to old business. Celebrate Wildwood. We were all, everyone I talked to was so pleased with the entire day. And we want to thank all those who gave of their time during the day to be in the tent to meet with our residents. And then also the city staff for getting everything set up. My goodness, I don't know how you did it all, but we thank you because it was really very nicely done. So with that said, Robin or Joe, you want to address some of this?
Well, first, we just like to thank you. We couldn't have done it without all of you, and it was great to have the history tent so well staffed throughout the day. And we had a lot of engagements with the community members, and I just felt like it was a very rich, meaningful experience for all of us. So we thank you for taking that time to engage the Wildwood community. I guess just some key updates. We did raise $61 for Essen Log Cabin through our efforts. We feel that while the amount was small, it may have been due to the fact that we weren't giving out free history books as in past years. So we didn't quite have that, what do they call it? Donations accepted, or anyway.
An incentive.
An incentive. We didn't have an incentive for donations. And then everything else did really great. We handed out a lot of points of interest map. I just want to thank all of you for rolling those up and keeping them stocked throughout the event. We had some great engagement, some stories from people who had lived next to Big Chief when they were kids. And we even had a woman approach to us about historic structures on her property. So we may be taking a look in the next couple weeks. So just a lot of meaningful engagement came out of the day. But we did want to throw it back to you and ask you, what should we do differently for next year? Do you have any ideas for next year based on our experience this year?
Well, there was a lot of interest in what do you have for the city of Wildwood for kids? And I thought that was a very valid question, because the kids need to be learning about the history of where they're living. And but there was a lot of questions about that.
I'm just going to bring your activity up, Ms. Stevens. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you submitted?
Well, in my teaching, the kids always enjoyed the word searches for any unit we were doing, and it was a way to get the information out in front of them again. And I went online and found a free word search application. And so I just did, for examples, the different communities. Of course, if we were doing this for the kids, I'd absolutely put some graphics on there so it would be attractive to the kids. But I did the one for the communities, and then one for the roads. And it's kind of nice to have the answer key there too. That wouldn't go to the kids, but it brings things out. And then when they're out and about in the city in various areas, they'll say, "Oh, I did that on the word search." It will bring it all back to them. And it would be, kids all love to have something that's theirs instead of something that's over their heads. So it was, it's just an example. I also found a crossword puzzle application that was free, but I didn't take the time to come up with clues and whatnot for that. But I think, we could start simple and go on year after year with additional things. And then also I was wondering about looking in at Babbler and at Rockwood reservations at their visitor centers. They may have some activities that are good for the kids that we could have out for them to pick up as well. I know one that I saw online was making a log cabin using pretzel rods and frosting, and building and making their log cabins. And I thought, well, that would fit right in with our Essen log cabin as we go into more information on that. So, it was just some suggestions. Elizabeth?
I think this also brings into play the Essen log cabin and what can be done with that, because I've been one pushing for education coming out of there and demonstrations, and maybe it's possible to team with Rockwood Reservation or Babbler or even Rockwood School District to be able to come up with a program that we can propose. This is what we'd like to put into this cabin, so there's a use for it and it can be kept active on a pretty regular basis with this kind of education for kids.
Elizabeth?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to compliment the people who finalized the time capsule, because I had an opportunity to look at the finished product at Wildwood Festival that we had, and it was superb. I don't know what others people's looked like, but ours was pretty awesome. And thank you, Robin, because I know you spent an inordinate amount of hours. And thank you, Joe, for moving that forward. I know we had a time crunch, but we got it completed. And I know other people spent some time on it as well. Thank
And
you.
the people looking at it at Celebrate Wildwood, they were just amazed with it. And
Yes,
so it was a good publicity thing for them as well.
it was.
Well, Joe, would this be the appropriate moment to, yes? Well, speaking to that, we have a bit of a gift for you all. In that we noticed, oh, I don't know if this is going to show up because of my background. Let me see if I can have no background. Okay, here we go. We noticed how much you all seem to enjoy that book at Celebrate Wildwood and thought you all might like a copy. So I have a box of these in my office, one for each of you, if you should like to come by City Hall and pick it up.
Fantastic.
Great.
Thank you.
What a wonderful gift. Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you very much. That was very impressive. That time capsule, that was very good.
Well, we're glad that you were also happy with it. It was truly a group effort, and it was a labor of love by us all. So thank you.
It was the second one that I worked on. I pretty much did the other one on my own, and I kind of took some things from what we were doing for ours at the Wildwood and took some of the same type of ideas. But it was a lot of fun to put together, and it really is a lot of food for thought, and it's something to hang on to. So again, thanks everybody for their work, and I think I was the one that brought it to the attention to begin with. And you know, we have to promote ourselves, and so I don't think I'll be here when it gets opened up in, what is it, 2045 or something, to see it again. But I know that people in the area at that time will be just amazed at what we have done and put together. So thank you, everybody. And thank you, Robin and Joe, for the gift. My goodness, that's very, very nice of you. We appreciate it. Anything else on Celebrate Wildwood? I think we're
Madam,
all, yes.
just one last thing. Although we wanted some debriefing comments tonight, if you think of anything over the next few weeks or months, please let us know. We always want to try to address your comments and suggestions, and if we can make a history tent better in 2022, that's the goal. So don't feel like you can't provide any input feel like you can provide input in the future. We're not just going to cut it off tonight. Thank you.
Very good. And paperweights to handle things when
Yeah.
If my sewing machine worked, I could whip those up just with some beans and some cloth and make some paperweights. But we'll get someone to do that for us and have something to anchor things down on the table. We were using some strange looking paperweights, but they did the trick at times. So, yeah.
I'm just going to say one word, and that's thank you to Mr. Scott. I was with him in the booth for a good many hours, and he is a treasure trove of information, and it was a real treat to work with him and to have him share his knowledge with so many people. And he made it very, very interesting for lots of us who were there. So thank you very much, Mr. Scott.
Longevity helps us a lot.
Thank you, but a lot of it's lies, but it goes over well.
It went well.
I think, thinking back, I've been at several of these now. I think this is the third one, and people are very interested. The displays we have catches their eye. They stop and look, and then you can engage them in conversation. You can mention something to them. And as long as they see we're not trying to sell them something or convert them to something, they'll talk with us. And we really, I think it was very easy to engage with a lot of people that just were coming by and talk about it and, you know, make them aware of what's around them. So I don't know if we can do much to make it better. I think it's just been very successful in the past. And
Agreed.
for me, very enjoyable just to sit and talk to people.
And I think the banners really caught their attention. And they were back looking at the pictures on each one of the community banners. And hearing their comments was really, really neat. I really enjoyed it as well. So whenever you think of anything, bring it to us and we'll see where we go from there. The history book, is that what's next on our?
I believe we had one other item before the
Oh,
history.
Route 66 Park. No. Final action on the Orville marker. I went out, found it, and didn't take much to find it. It's sitting right there by the road, and I knew where it was supposed to be anyway. But I'll tell you what, once there's the pull-off that's been developed, it's going to be very helpful because it wasn't easy to try to get sort of off of the road. And then, of course, I wanted to get a little distance away to get a picture. And then cars coming by kind of got in my way. But it looks very nice. And I think that there'll be a lot of people stopping to see it.
Well, Madam Chair, Ms. Keefe and I would just like to thank you all for your patience. As you know, we had to wait for the bridge project to get completed. And after that, we wanted to get input from the property owners. We prepared a letter, sent that to them. Didn't hear anything back, but certainly wanted to give them the opportunity. And then, you know, all of this occurring during COVID-19. So thanks for your patience. I'm our contractor that does the paving is a little busy these days, but I'll try to have an idea of time frame for you at the next meeting in December.
Very good. So if you're out and about, drive by, take a look at it because it's, you know, we're very proud of each one of the markers and we want to get it out so the public knows that it's there as well.
Are they gonna do pull-off areas, those markers? It's like, there's one at Church Road, and I guess I just pull up on Church Road to read it, but I go by it all the time. I want to stop and read it. I never do.
Certainly in the future, Mr. Hensick, the hope is that we'll have adequate parking or a safe pull-over area for all of them. There are several, Monarch, Kelp, and now Orville, to a certain degree, that just don't lend themselves well to, let's say, stopping and taking your time. The one on Kelp is probably the most difficult, and I just don't know how we're going to address that unless we are able to obtain some property or an easement from someone. But it's on our list, and you know, it's a good observation. That's what I do when I go just to check on the condition. I just park on Church Road and kind of put my flashers on.
Yeah. Just have to make the effort to make that turn and go look at it.
Right. Okay. The history book.
All right, if I may, Madam Chair, I
Yes,
have
please.
a presentation this evening for that. So as you know, we are now towards the finish line of completing our Wildwood history book after, 5 years of hard work from the commission. So now we need to get very serious about publishing the book. And I'll start with our Wildwood history book survey and the results that we got from it. Some quick facts. We collected overall 52 surveys. Some of them were collected at the Celebrate Wildwood event, and some of them were collected through the Wildwood Historical Society. If everyone who took the survey followed through, because on the survey they noted how many copies of the book they would purchase, then 63 copies would be sold, and an additional 25 additional copies are reserved for Mrs. Von Gruben. To give you a sense of the people who took our survey, the yeses represent this orange color. Are you the proud owner of a free paperback spiral bound history book from previous years? So we had a lot of proud owners. And most of them said yes, they would want to purchase a high quality final version of the book.
Good.
Question 3, we said of the following options, what would you most likely purchase? We had a hardcover book, the same size as the past years, a hardcover book, but a larger version for the coffee table, a paperback book, but without the spiral binding of past years, an ebook, and just a caveat, this was added on later. So some of the survey takers had this option, some did not, probably about 50-50. And then whichever is the most affordable version of the book. I broke it down a little bit, and I just lumped all the hardcover book copies under one category, paperback book, and then the most affordable version of the book, to give you a sense of who wants hardcover, who wants paperback. And then because paperback is obviously going to be the more affordable option, I lumped those two together and compared with those who wanted the hardcover book. So we're really looking at about 50-50 want hardcover versus paperback. When asked how much they would like to spend on the book,
Yeah.
the majority of people responded in this $20 to $30 range, with the second most wanting to spend $15 to $20. But we did have, we did have some serious buyers who were willing to spend $50 on this book. To give you a sense of how many people would buy the book at each range, I broke it down. So if everyone who would buy the book bought the book, the $15 to $20 range would capture that. And then at the $20 and $30 range, that would include all the people who bought at the $15 to $20 range and the $20 to $30 range. And so that's how it's broken down. All right, so moving on from the survey, unless anybody has any questions.
Bless you.
Questions or comments about the survey? All right, moving on. We have a new publishing pathway to discuss. Our designer, Stacy Minkoff, suggested to us at our last meeting that we do on-demand publishing. And we can do this through Kindle Direct Publishing. We can publish in less than 5 minutes, and the book can appear in Kindle stores worldwide within 24 to 48 hours. We can earn royalty on sales to customers of the book, though we'll discuss this in a minute. We would retain rights to the book and could set our own list prices, and we can make changes to our book at any time using this option. And there would be no upfront cost to the city. They provided a calculator on their website, so I had a little fun with it. Currently, our page count is well over 450, but that's at the current book size. We are looking at reformatting the book in order to bring that page count down, and there we might realistically be looking at these numbers. But here you can see the list prices. These are the minimum list prices permitted for each category at each page count, based on a $0 royalty. So we wouldn't earn any money on these list prices. But this would give you a sense of how much hardcover would cost compared to paperback with a standard color interior versus a premium color interior. Do you have any questions about this part of my presentation?
Do you have at some point, can we get some representative samples of premium color versus standard color?
I can see what I can find and send it out via email.
That'd be great.
Sure. And I did in the report, I didn't include it on my PowerPoint slides, but in the report, I broke down the difference between the two. So you can have a look at the description of each. It should be noted that the standard color interior is not an option for hardcover. If they buy hardcover, they're going all the way.
So you're saying that at these prices, there are no royalties, and basically the royalties are directly proportional to sale price. Is that correct?
So we're saying that this is basically the list price that would cover the cost of publishing the book, and whatever kickbacks go to Kindle Direct Publishing. And then we would not earn a profit off of these list prices.
So at $22.42, there wouldn't be a royalty, but at $25, we'd get $3 back per book. Is that how that would work?
That's right. If we rose the prices from what you see here, we could potentially make money per copy of books sold.
Okay.
Joe, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, so we do have some next steps. We had a discussion with Jill Von Gruben, our primary book author, and also, our editor and orchestrator in some ways. And it looks like there are some updates that need to be made to various sections of the book before we want to send that to Minkoff Studios for reformatting. So for your review tonight, here are the list of tasks that need to be completed. We need to verify that all HPC commissioners are included on the page at the end of the book, including past and present commissioners. So our recommendation is that we go ahead and include all members of both the advisory group that met from 1996 to 1999. To when it became the official Historic Preservation Commission in 1999 to present. So we're going to list all those names. Update the timeline at the end of the book to the present. We need to update the city map. We have to look into whether it is the most updated version or not. We're going to add information on wounded warrior homes in the area. Ms. Von Gruben has asked to further edit Chapter 6, our incorporation chapter. And I will open this up for discussion after I've reviewed this. Final edits need to be made to all the files. We talked about replacing African American with Black to conform with current journalistic formatting. And then finally, we talked about extending Chapter 5 to include 2021 through the end of the year, because we felt that documenting this time in history was very important to the book. If we did every task proposed, it would be completed by mid-January of 2022. And she's quoted us $570 for this work. This would all need to be done before we send it to Stacy. She would reformat the book into the larger size. And then at that point, we would go to publishing. So questions or comments?
And if I may, Madam Chair, previously the Historic Preservation Commission members agreed to go to a larger page size, 8.5 by 11 inches, to reduce the page count. So eventually we'll know how many pages the book has in terms of total number. Then we could talk about the cost, and then if there are any royalties we feel that we should collect as part of the process. And the items that Ms. Keefe just went over, I want to emphasize the department's making a recommendation, but if you have a different opinion, we'd love to hear it before we conclude our discussion tonight. Thank you.
Yeah,
Elizabeth?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I heard the 8.5 by 11, Joe, and when she said coffee table, when Robin said coffee table, I've seen them huge, and there's not much you can put on the coffee table. So I'm happy to hear that it says 8.5 by 11.
and all of you right now should be able to see what Stacy Minkoff provided as sample pages for the 8.5 by 11 size. So if you look to your screen, that's what I have up there.
I see.
I like the different fonts that she has used. It's really eye-catching.
I've got a question. In the
Yes.
the city has, well, they paid for all those books we've been giving out. And I don't know how much that's cost. But
A lot.
is there some willingness to subsidize this? And, you know, so much per, you know, $5 per book or $2 per book or something to help reduce the cost. I don't think we're interested in making a royalty on this. But I just wonder, I mean, council's been paying for this, allocating money for this in years past. Are they willing to do it one more time and say a similar amount to subsidize this printing?
Well, Mr. Scott, if Ms. Keefe wouldn't mind using Kindle, so to speak, actually the transaction for the publication, as I was told, and I'm hopefully remember correctly, is between Kindle and the buyer, not necessarily the city. Robin, could you maybe detail that a bit?
Well, I don't have much to add to that, but that is correct. They would purchase it via that medium and not through the city specifically. Like, we could purchase our own copies and then potentially sell them, but most buyers would be going directly to the Kindle stores and purchasing from there.
Which could be a link on our website.
Right.
Go straight there, get your credit card out. And a week later, it shows up in the mail.
That is correct. And I think it's also worth noting, and I was going to bring this up here later in my presentation, that in talking with Ms. Von Gruben, there's also a recommendation that the city donate quite a few copies of the book to various entities throughout the state that might have an interest in it. And when you total up the number of book donations, we might be looking at around 60 copies. So I just want to throw out that information as well, as we're talking
That
about.
would be a contribution, definitely.
Yes.
Might I add that any books that are donated somewhere, that we would develop a book plate to put in the book showing that the city had donated the book to whoever it goes to.
Would there be like a plate? You mean like a plate in the book that says, this book is a compliment to the city of
Right,
Wildwood?
right. Oftentimes it's a lot of times a sticky back piece of paper that has a design on it, which I could envision maybe the city logo being on it, and saying that this is presented to you by the compliments of the city of Wildwood.
Oh, I think we should do that, definitely.
Yeah. A lot of people don't think about that.
Madam Chair, other thoughts?
This is St. Louis County Library System. Would that be just to headquarters or just to Daniel Boone, or one to each of them? I could see headquarters with all the research that goes on there. That's where you see books by the cities. But then I've also seen some smaller ones within the Daniel Boone collection because it's in the area. So had any thought been given to giving, say, the two books, so that one in the area and one in the research center at headquarters?
To answer your question, Ms. Stevens, I think the thought line around the St. Louis County Library System was to do one towards headquarters and then one to each of the libraries within.
Each one. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Very good.
You said within the area, right? Not,
Right, within the area.
yeah.
Madam Chair and members of the commission, are there any objections to the items the department's recommending as our next steps? I think the price quoted by Ms. Von Gruben is very reasonable. And I think she really would like to do these tasks so as the book reads consistently throughout all of the chapters. As you know, she prepared the majority of them, but not all.
That sounds good.
Move to accept as is.
I've got a question, not objecting. Replace African American with Black to conform with current journalistic formatting. Can somebody explain that? Is now Black the term to use instead of African American?
That is apparently the current practice. Sorry, I'm trying to put my lights on, but they're not.
Let's have Matt.
We're doing.
But you were dancing.
I'm dancing because I'm just so excited about this discussion.
That's what happens when you don't move. The lights go out.
But yes, that is apparently the current journalistic standard.
That's just strange. I hadn't heard that before. That's fine with me. No, I agree with all of these.
I heard someone had made a motion to accept these. Dan, was that you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a second to Dan's motion?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, put your hand up or wave or something so we can see. Okay, is anyone opposed? Okay, Robin, I think you can go forward with this with our blessings.
Excellent. Oh, and I can end the discussion.
Yes.
Great news. The Wildwood History book continues to be endorsed under the Missouri Bicentennial banner. So we will be included, despite not publishing until next year, we will be included in the Missouri Bicentennial collection at the State Historical Society.
Very good.
And we can use the logo on our book.
And as I understand it, we can use that logo on into the future. Is that the way you understand it?
Anything associated with this project, yes.
Yes. Very good. That looks very nice. Any other comments on this before we go forward?
I just have one, and it's really, Madam Chairman, a question for Joe. The reason for the editing of the work that you had done, is there any story connected with that?
Mr. Bacher, thanks for asking. As you know, several of the key incorporators, the ones that initiated the effort and carried it through to the successful conclusion, which was the vote in February 1995, prepared it. And I guess I was a little protective of their words. But I think at the end of the day, for the benefit of our readers, having a more consistent approach to it. Certainly when the edits are made, you'll see them as the commission and you can review them. We can talk about them. We can accept them or reject them. But I think it's worth the effort at $570 for all of those activities to kind of see how it might all flow together.
Okay. Just wanted to be sure.
Thank you. Okay, well then move on to the update on the work program.
Madam Chair, did we have a voice photo? Oh, we did
Yes,
the hands.
yes, we
Never
did.
mind.
It's all legal now, Joe.
Thank you, ma'am.
Is it going to be Joe or Robin that leads us on the work program?
I'm going to give Robin's voice a rest, and I'm going to kind of conclude with the work program. Madam Chair and members of the commission, as you know, each month we update the work program and the successes we've had and the things that may have been delayed for whatever set of reasons. And tonight, the department just wants to highlight a few of them. First and foremost is number one, Old Pond School. As you know, we were soliciting bids from different contractors to do some work on the exterior trim, fascia, etc., and then paint. The two bids we received to date were substantial, more so than what had been budgeted at the start of 2021. Fortunately, with the support of Councilmember Jackson and Councilmember Nyan, the City Council endorsed a mid-year budget amendment to the amount of what we have now as the highest bid, which I thought was the appropriate approach. So as soon as we get that third bid, we'll be back to you so you can review the bids and give us some direction in that regard. So there's some progress. And again, we appreciate the increase to the budget to make this work. As Andy Irvine said during his presentation, during public participation, and we already noted, your whole historic community marker is in place. Although I mentioned it, I didn't say that that completes the process. And it was a long process. And to all of you, thank you for your efforts and patience. Robin's covered the history book and points of interest map. We have a lot of points of interest maps. So if you're wanting some to maybe wallpaper a room in your lovely homes, we've got it for you.
Well, I will, if I may, Joe.
Sure.
I have instructed Ruth to include the points of interest map in all of our new resident packets each month. So they are going somewhere.
So don't delay. At the start of the meeting, before we formally began, Commission Member Rotten asked about the Route 66 Roadside Park project. And at mid-year, as successful as we were with Old Pond School and the needed work there for maintenance purposes, we were unable to retain the funding for that particular project, Route 66 Roadside Park, with SWT Design for this year. The money has been put in the 2022 budget, and the City Council is working through that at this time. And this coming, November 8th, there'll be a public hearing on the budget, and then hopefully shortly thereafter passage. So I think all indicators point toward we'll be working on with SWT Design in 2022, hopefully a non-COVID year, so we can kind of get back to meeting with people and talking about a great project. Finally, I just want to kind of go over a couple of things. First, Portner Park is now officially a city property. The closing occurred, I believe, at the end of September. We received a key to the dwelling about 3 weeks ago or so. And so I guess we're just getting started. And as commission members, it'll be time shortly to roll up your sleeves and start talking about what we should do out there, engaging the community and local decision makers, and doing the best we can to create a very unique park that honors the memory of Miss Yost, but also its long history out here as what I consider one of the few remaining farmsteads on Hinken Road. I would note that Dr. Rambo, a council member from Ward 6, his family originally owned that property, and it was transferred to Miss Yost on the death of her husband, who was related to Dr. Rambo. And so there's a local flavor to it as well. So it should be fun. 2022 will hold a lot of opportunities. And then finally, I do apologize for the training. As you know, we were able to circumvent COVID-19 and have Zoom presentations for training purposes in 2020. And unfortunately, we kind of got away from that in 2021. So that's why I think Ms. Keefe and I are kind of begging you to maybe spend next week or parts of next week and the following week doing a little training for us so we can stay in good stead with the State Historic Preservation Office. So thank you for all you do. And if there are any questions on the update of the work program, Ms. Keefe and I would be glad to answer them at this time.
Any questions or comments for them? Did our Route 66 presentation that we had at one of our meetings, does that count in the training for this year?
Yes, it does.
Okay, good. So that means that most of us have at least one bit of training for the year, but it's always good to have more. And what would be, Robin?
And any training you do beyond that counts towards this next year, so you'll get it
Right.
out of.
Very good.
I one, get one free.
Let me ask that question. We just had, I think last month, the AIA had one on mid-century modern architecture. If that counts.
Well, Mr. Hensick, I think if you could give us a few details via email, we'll put it on there and let them make that decision, not us.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? I believe Ms. Keefe is back in the dark. Now in the light.
Wonder what people out on the sidewalk are thinking about the lights going on and off.
I didn't have to dance for that one. I just gave it an evil glare and it came back on.
You know, we have to approach a lot of things with a little bit of humor to get us all through all these situations. And it's good that we can do that. So, well, it's been great to be together again this evening. And I really enjoy seeing everyone. We miss those who weren't with us tonight, but our next meeting will not be in November. It will be December the 2nd. And that will cover as our November and December meetings. So don't let the ghosts and goblins get to you this weekend. And we'll look forward to everyone having a very thankful Thanksgiving and moving forward. So until December the 2nd, have a great time, great days, and we're all blessed.
And if we could have a motion and second to adjourn and a voice vote, we'll also wish you all the very best of the Thanksgiving holiday season. And if you need anything relating to history or otherwise, don't hesitate to call the city.
Steve? Steve, you are muted.
Okay. In talking about the state historical group and they talk about the properties that we're supposed to file or give our survey to the state. They're supposed to record that and have that on file. I thought I saw that in that list of requirements there. Are we doing that?
That's right.
Sure we are.
I just recently spoke with the coordinator and she said that as of right now, we're in good standing.
That's really good to hear.
Okay, because I mean, we've gone to the effort and expense to put that whole thing together, and I think it should be filed with the state. And they said they're supposed to have it, and I just want to make sure they have it.
Okay. Do we have a motion for adjournment?
Madam Chairman, I move we adjourn.
Thank you, Alan. Is there a second? Dan
Correct.
seconds. All those in favor? Say yes.
Aye.
Wave your hands.
Aye.
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 Great. Great. So thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.